Hey, everybody. The Chicago Bears, Sammy, they released their schedule, and it appears the schedule that was released, that was leaked on the Twitter machine and all over social media earlier today, that's the one. That is the schedule as it's going to be. The Bears opening up in week 1 against the Minnesota Vikings and a whole bunch of other things going on. I honestly, going into this season or going into this schedule release, I thought for sure, I was certain that if it wasn't the Washington Commanders, it was going to be the Detroit Lions. And as I was putting out polls and saying like, hey, where are we going? I actually grouped the Packers and the Vikings together. Like, what is this going to be? I think they're basically the same. I don't think either one's better than the other or anything like that, but it's going to be the Minnesota Vikings in week 1. So you know what? We got so much to dive into here. So Sammy, let's start the show.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Adam Ray.
It's Hester trying to work it back to the middle. Gets past the first wave, and here he goes. It's Hester inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. And no flag, 92 yards.
The sickest Chicago Bears and fantasy football podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
There. And so much stuff is going on, and we really appreciate you coming out here tonight as I'm trying to get everything started. I'm looking at the wrong page now. I've got screens up. I've got multiple things on. We're trying to do something a little bit different here. As you notice, the lighting in the studio is a little bit different because we're not normally here 8 p.m., 5 p.m. Pacific time, but still trying to come out here and talk about the schedule as it pertains. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, the Bears will be opening up against the Minnesota Vikings, an opportunity to see J.J. McCarthy. And there's actually some intrigue to this opening round matchup. Because when Brian Flores was the head coach in Miami, he fired, and here's the schedule right now. For those of you who are joining us on TikTok, you cannot see our screen. Why don't I run through it right now? You're absolutely right, Sammy. I should go through the schedule. And I did retweet this, so we're good. Vikings on Monday Night Football. So that opening Sunday, for a lot of us, we go to Rip Beer Company here in Rip Beer Company and Pizza in Huntington Beach, California. We have nothing to do on Sunday. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a Monday Night Football game. So that'll be great. Week 2, we're at the Lions, then the Dallas Cowboys at home, at the Raiders in Las Vegas. Week 4, probably going to be making some attempt to get out there for that game. That'll be a lot of fun. Already hitting up my friend Chris Waterman and everybody over at the D and the Golden Gate and the Circa for a spot on that Sunday. I'm already going to be booking that. You know what's funny is so many times I sit here and I question why people get so geeked up for the schedule release. Like, what, we know who the opponents are. But as Greg Braggs was saying a couple of weeks ago, he's like, you know what? Then you get to make travel plans and you get an opportunity to come out here and be like, hey, you know what? Week 4 in Las Vegas, the season's not over. Now, last year? Jesus, time has been flying so much. Last year, I went out to Arizona. Everybody remembers that. I went to Arizona. It was a miserable time. Actually, it was the start of me getting an ear infection thing. And it was actually a miserable couple of weeks for me. And that was right during the middle of the soccer season where I was fighting something the whole time and all this stuff. But I remember, because we played San Francisco at the end of the year, after that game, I had canceled all my plans to go to San Francisco. I was like, you know what? F it. I'm not going to San Francisco. I'm not spending the money on this team. I don't want to be out there again. And again, this is, it's kind of my job, but I was still like so upset about it. And then we have the week 5 bye. And I want to say something to you about the schedule. There is no reason. And I know that there's guys, men and women, who work on this schedule. They make it more difficult than it needs to be, because it gives you an opportunity to have a job. Like if you just bake this in, like if you said weeks 5, 6, and 7 were the divisional round games, and we're going to play, and for the Bears, I think it would make sense for it every year, week 5, playing the Packers. And then 6 and 7 would be the Lions and the Vikings in whatever order. And then you close the season, weeks 16, 17, and 18, with your divisional opponents. Would make a lot of sense. And that week 5 game, because you would put like Cowboys would play their natural rival, Chiefs and Ray. I don't know. I don't know if there's any. I don't know how many rivalries there are like the Cowboys, or excuse me, like the Bears and Packers, because that one is heated. Yeah, you don't like the Lions, you don't like the Vikings, but it's Bears, Packers. I don't know if other teams have that. Like, who is the natural rival of the New England Patriots? Steelers and Ravens, I think, is obviously right up there. Rams, 49ers, got it. There's a couple of, but if you made that week 5 game the rivalry week, boom, that would be cool. And then the bye weeks would start 8, 9, 10, 11, 2 divisions off, rotate them every year. Like 1 week, you're week 8, the next year, week 9, blah, blah, blah. It would be so easy. And I know these schedule makers like, oh, we got to worry about Taylor Swift. And all. You really don't. If you put it out there far enough in advance, these concert promoters and all those people with like AEW and all that stuff, they would be able to schedule around this. So don't even get it twisted. Don't even act like they couldn't make this something that they could do. And then you figure out the rest of it. And then like maybe the first 4 weeks are against the whatever division you're aligned with. This year, what is it? The AFC, the NFC North, East, excuse me. Be like the first 4 weeks, NFC, like arrange it. It would be super easy. You could schedule this. You could have the NFL schedule done and completed through eternity, being like, yeah, this is the way it's going to be every year. Although the only open weeks would be like where you would have the random games that you get in. Who are our random games? Like we're playing the Saints for the Saints and Raiders. I think are our random games. They're not assigned to any division. Maybe the Steelers game too. No, we're playing the North, the AFC North, NFC East, and then the other 2 games, and then it'll eventually be 3. But you can figure it out. Like it's not as hard as it needs to be. I'm on a tangent right now. Let's go back through the schedule. Week 6 against the Commanders. People in Washington are already trying to get me to go out to that one. We'll see. That'll be interesting. Then the Saints in week 7, at the Ravens, at the Bengals. Weeks 8 and 9, very difficult stretch for this team. At the Ravens, at the Bengals. Similar to last year, where you're going to have to stockpile some wins, and there's some winnable games. When I look at the schedule right now, and this is no disrespect to the Minnesota Vikings, who will be starting a rookie quarterback, essentially a rookie quarterback, you got to have at least 3 wins after the first 3. You got to be 3-3 when you hit that week 8 game. I'm hoping it's going to be 4-2, maybe 5-1. And then you got the Giants and the Vikings, not bad. Steelers don't have a quarterback. Who knows what their team's going to be looking like in week 12. The Eagles, not easy. At the Packers. So the Eagles followed by, but it's an early, not a mini bye week, but you got the Eagles and the Packers. 2 tough roadies back to back. The Browns, we don't know what the Browns are going to be this year. The Browns are 2 years away from being a playoff team that went to the playoffs with Joe Flacco. So that's not going to be easy, but they do get the Packers, 49ers, Lions. When you look at the schedule, and everybody knows me, and they say Rank's going to pick us to win 12 games, and you're probably right. I probably will. I probably will pick us to win 12 games. But here's my thing. We really don't know how good these teams are going to be. We don't know. I mean, and this is beyond like injuries happen and things like that, and obviously situations in New Orleans where you're like, oh, your quarterback who wasn't expected to play but is retiring. You never know. The Bengals have faced injuries over the last number of years. The Giants might be this year's Commanders for all we know. What if Jackson Dart comes in and he has a season like Caleb Williams did or Jaden Daniels did last year? Who knows? Like we don't know. What if the Steelers sign Aaron Rodgers, who hits the fountain of youth, and the Steelers are undefeated going into it? We don't know, which is always hilarious to me when you go out there and you make a schedule prediction, and you're like, "Hey, I think," and of course it's great. It's great content. I'll be going into the studio at NFL Network on Friday to go. We just don't know. And I know somebody here on TikTok is asking too, like, are the Giants cooked? I'm like, listen, I don't know. Who knows? The Giants might be good. We don't know. We can sit here and kind of speculate, and we're taking reasonable guesses. You know, when I look at the Bears, well, let's start with the first 4 games. And again, I hate week 5 buys. I think that's garbage. But you do have a Friday night game thrown in there. The Monday night coming off the bye week gives us an extra one, but then it's a short week playing host to the Saints. When you look at this schedule right now, Vikings, home, Monday Night Football, I think we're all going to assume we win that one. That's fair. At the Lions in week 2. I don't know. The Cowboys at home in week 3. The Cowboys traditionally do not play well at Soldier Field. At the Raiders, a team that we don't know how they're going to be playing in week 4, but it's Pete Carroll. It's on the road. Not necessarily easy. I think the optimist would say 2-2. The truly optimist would say 3-1. Rank would say 4-0. And as a matter of fact, I have us at 6-0 going through the first 6 weeks of the season. I know it's probably not going to happen. And I hate to look at this schedule and be like, well, I mean, like, obviously we're probably not going to win 17 games. Probably not. Probably not. But when you're in the thing, why would I concede a game to the Lions? That's always the most difficult part of this. It's like, yes, truly, there are going to be, we don't know. It's truly going to be, I don't know, we're probably going to be somewhere between 12-5 and 9-8, maybe 7-10. We just don't know. But when you go into the week to week, I wouldn't go into a week, even in Detroit, where you're like, I'm conceding this as a loss. I'm conceding the Commanders game as a loss. I don't feel that way. We're going to lose the Ravens game, the Bengals game. You know, the Bears start off 6-1. Lose back-to-back games, beat the Giants at home, maybe lose it. This is the thing, and I believe I was mentioning this a second ago. Like, Brian Flores fired Ben Johnson, and Brian Flores' defense has given up more than 30 points in 7 games since Brian Flores has taken over as defensive coordinator of the Minnesota Vikings. Ben Johnson has 4 of those games, which leads me to believe that Ben Johnson is going to try to go out there and once again put it up his hiney. And for me, like this, okay, this is the kind of stuff that we need to consider. We need to go into. All right, Sammy, start flying some of these comments. I'm going to go through Mile High, 17-0. Mile High Boost, 17-0, baby. I know probably not a Mile High Boost. That's going to be a Broncos fan. Maybe the Broncos fans think they're going to go 17-0. That is cool. What do we got? Looking forward to the revenge week 6. Yeah, Frank, I agree with you. You know what's interesting about the game against the Commanders, and we were talking about this not too long ago, is that with the Commanders, everything went poorly. It was awful. It could not have been worse last year going up against the Commanders with everything. And then like having to see the highlight and everything that went on with that. Like, it's true. However, the circumstances of that game actually was favorable to the Chicago Bears because honestly, if the Bears win that game, if they hold on to it as they should have won that game, would have been 5-2. Do they lose the following week in Arizona? Maybe escaping with one. The offense was not being very efficient. A lot of the problems that we saw in that game against Arizona could have lent itself. But again, what if they go out there and miracle a win in Arizona? Now all of a sudden they're 6-2. There's a real possibility and a real chance that if the Bears had won that game, and so they're 5-2, give us the Packers game, that would have been 6 wins. There were only They were only a few wins away from going into an offseason where you could justify bringing back Matt Eberflus because, well, they got better. You don't want to mix it up. You don't want to confuse the quarterback any more than you need to. And would this have meant that Ben Johnson stayed in Detroit? Would he have gone on to take another job or try to wait out Matt Eberflus? We'll never know. But the everything that happened in that game lent itself to the situation the Bears are in right now, which is very fair to say. I really hope that it was going to be Ben Johnson no matter what, unless the Bears went to the playoffs or whatever, but you never know. You never know. So the events of that game against Washington kind of helped ourselves right here. I truly believe that it's a game that I think the Bears are going to want to, I mean, they're going to want to win every game. But as a Bears revenge game, I think this lends itself more. And Ben Johnson will be clued into this as well. So Ben Johnson, really, Ben Johnson's got a grudge against everybody. He called out Matt LaFleur. He called out Matt LaFleur in his press conference. That's getting dicey, by the way. Hitting that. Called out Matt. He obviously doesn't like Brian Flores because of what happened when he was the coach of the Minnesota Vikings or the Miami Dolphins. Got the Commanders thing because he's got to have his players back. Also got the Lions for personal reasons. There's a lot of things going on. Let's bring up this other comment from Mile High Bear. No way. Was born and raised in Chicago. Awesome. Just decided to move to Denver for the mountains and the weather. Would never root for the Broncos. I will tell you this, Mile High Boost. The Bronco fans and I are cool. So we're on good terms. You can root for the Broncos. Never root for them over the Bears, obviously, for obvious reasons. But at the same time, listen, there's nothing wrong. Like I don't hate Jacksonville. I don't hate Denver. I wouldn't sit there and be like, yeah, I'm diehard fan, but I like their fans and their fans are cool and it's fine with me. And being out in Denver is pretty cool. Let's start. Please, thanks for tuning in. Please comment. Let's get some more of these. Let's bring up the schedule again. Let's go. What's up, Jay Bush? Thanks for being here. I want to know what everybody thinks week 1. Do we win that game against the Minnesota Vikings? Is there, and I'll take it one step further. Just concentrating on the first 4 weeks of the season. What is your reasonable expectation for the Bears going into the bye week in week 5? What is your expectation for the Bears? I think some of you will be 2-2. A lot of you will probably be 3-1. I'm probably going to be solo and 4-0 because I'm a lunatic. And this is what I do. I bleed orange. So, of course, 4-0. What do we think? 4-0? Duh, Bears. I believe, yeah. David Scott, 4-0. Seems like a revenge theme going in the first. I mean, it really is. I mean, the only one that's just not a revenge game is the Cowboys. And the Cowboys, I'm curious to see how they play this season. What are we doing? We're assuming, of course, that Dak Prescott is going to be the quarterback. They traded for, they're not going to go. You're right. I forgot it. Eberflus is the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. Yeah, David, you're absolutely right. Yeah, I missed that one. Logan on TikTok, Super Bowl season incoming, trust. I'm going in. You know me, I'm going to be going in. I'm all in on the Bears going far. It's so interesting too, because this is not our normal time for when we're doing a lot of this stuff. There are people it's a weird time. I know a lot of people are out there watching different things, watching different shows. Thank you everybody who is tuning in right now, whether we're on TikTok right here and all that stuff. Mile High Boost, yeah, we should be JJ in his first game at Soldier Field, 4-0 for sure. So I think that my people are starting to come in here, and we're starting to drink the Kool-Aid with the 4-0. Now, I do. Oh, yeah, Dennis Allen and the Saints. Great Scott. Great call, David Scott. Dennis Allen and the Saints. There's a revenge game too. Yeah, there is a tie There is a tie to just about everything. Because I know it wasn't Pete Carroll during this time, but remember the rivalry always with the Saints. I guess we didn't like the Seahawks either. Then Roquan. Oh, yeah, Roquan in week 8. T. Higgins for not joining us. When do the Bears play Philly? Thanks for asking. They're going to be playing their Black Friday, week 13. It's the Black Friday game. For anybody who missed that, that is a new tradition. Actually, you know what? I was so opposed originally to the Black Friday game. I thought was, I'll be honest with you. Don't tell anybody. Don't tell any of my bosses at the NFL Network or anything like that. But Black Friday, I thought was a little much. Like, really? I really felt like doing a Black Friday game was a little egregious. But at the same time, I really have grown to like it the last 2 years. I'm like, you know what? This is pretty good. FIFA, what do we have at Seattle? You know what? Seattle is one of the most interesting teams to me. Last year, I thought they were not going to be as competitive as they were. Very good team. You know what? And but going with, and I'm a big Sam Darnold guy. I think Sam Darnold will still be fine. That defense is starting to rise as well. I believe that the Seahawks are kind of similar to last year. You know, Tyler Lockett was not really the player that he once was. Now he's gone. DK Metcalf is in Pittsburgh, but I love Jackson Smith and Jigba. If the running backs can stay healthy, I think that's going to be a huge thing for them. Michael McDonald is going to continue to get that defense up to the standard that he had when he was with the Baltimore Ravens and, of course, University of Michigan. I think Seahawks could surprise some people this year. Browns and Jenkins revenge game. That's a good one. Tef Jenkins. But I look at this, and I did want to talk about something else while we're sitting here, and there's going to be a lot of stuff. Now, I'm not going to be sitting here and doing my actual predictions. Bears are not, okay, Nearin on TikTok is like a respectable 3-win season. You know what? I said this last year, going into the year. And going into last season, and we had this narrative that I was spinning. It was my own narrative. And I was talking about the Bears being, you know, under Matt Eberflus in 2023, won 7 games, lost 3, where they had over a 90% win probability late in these games. And so I thought for sure, I said, it makes a lot of sense to believe that the Bears will be a double-digit win team because the team should improve and Caleb Williams is going to come in and play well. And I was completely wrong. I misread the room. How unpopular Matt Eberflus truly was, what this team was all about. So there's going to be a return to optimism for me with Ben Johnson. And why shouldn't we go out there and expect them to win some games? And this is one of the things that always bothers me about people who love to, it's not necessarily be negative. I know people are like, well, I'm a realist. You know, I'm a realist. I should be, and that's fine. You know, there's a lot of people like the narrative now for people talking about like, I don't think the line's that good. Like Drew Dahlman's not that great. Jonas Jackson's not good. Joe Tooney's old. And they're starting to spin it this way. The problem that I have with people like that, and it's not really a problem, but when you're a pessimist, like an optimist like myself, I can never be pleasantly surprised. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't be like, oh, this is the shocking turn of events. Because I'm going out there hoping for it, but expecting that this team is going to be good. And so it's always a little bit gutting because whenever somebody is like, this team sucks, they're not good, they're whatever. And then if they are good, like 2018, they go out there and they win the division. They were a double doink away from going to the divisional round of the playoffs. You still get to enjoy it. Even though you were a douche for like 6 months, now you're able to enjoy it as much as the next guy. Like, I guess that's the way to do it. And I think it is a, like whenever you, like in real life, this is a real life thing. By the way, real quick, I think the Falcons are going to be good. I like the Falcons a lot. I think that's a good team. They redid their defense. Going to be great. I think like whenever somebody always expects the worst, it's a part of, they say it's a part of like some sort of, it's not normal. And it's a part of a childhood trauma. So now you're always expecting the worst. You're over apologizing. You're doing things like that. And I think for the Bears fans, there is some sort of like, there is some trauma to where you don't like you're defending, you know, you're just assuming the worst. So you can go out there and not be hurt again. But I think like for fandom and enjoying sports personally, and then listen, do fan how you want. Don't let me sit here and try to persuade you one way or the other. But at the same time, like I think that you should go out and just enjoy what's happening with the Chicago Bears. There's a lot of people going out there who right now believe that the Bears had a great offseason. And I think it was Pro Football Focus, one of those, who said that the Bears had the best offseason of anybody else. The only A+ one. And everything that you wanted to see on paper happened. But on paper is on paper. It's not the same as going out there and doing it when all the slings and arrows are actually going. But I'm going to take the positive role on this and just try to be an optimist. I'm buying in, much like I'm buying in on all these Kyle Monangai trading cards that are coming our ways. And by the way, speaking of trading cards, Windy City Sports Cards is the best place to get any sort of trading cards, and they specialize in buying and selling all things related to Chicago sports. So whether you're a diehard fan of the Bears, Bulls, Cubs, White Sox, Blackhawks, Sky, Fire, whatever, we have got you covered with an extensive selection of sports memorabilia and collectibles. And in addition to the Chicago-focused items, they also specialize in items from all teams. So for instance, people ask me all the time, this is actually a fantasy tip for you as well. People have been asking me like, hey, what do you think? Who's a sleeper quarterback? I love JJ McCarthy actually as a quarterback this season, both in fantasy and as somebody whose cards I'm going to be buying because, like, you know, they're trading pretty low on the dollar right now. He really could be a good quarterback, and KOC is his offensive coordinator. I really do believe that there is going to be an opportunity for him to be one of the pleasant surprises of this season. And if Minnesota takes a little bit of a step back in, you know, defensively and puts the Vikings into games where, you know what, they gotta score more points than they're accustomed to. Am I now just fixing my ear? I think JJ McCarthy could be that dude. So as we're sitting here, you know what? Start putting in your schedule predictions. Who are the people? Yeah, here's a good question. This is coming over from TikTok. Adam, I keep my Bears love and fandom away from fantasy, which is probably always the best way to go. You know what? Although I'm sitting here saying like how many shares of Kyle Monangai I'm going to have, I understand. I try not to let my Bears fandom bleed in to the fantasy side of things. However, I really do love Rome Odunze this season. And I think having a couple of pass catchers is a really good opportunity. Pats fans saying that they're going to win 9 to 10 games this season. You know what? Mike Vrabel initially was my first choice. I really thought that Mike Vrabel made so much sense, and I loved it. I've really come around to Ben Johnson. I'm very excited about this hire, but I was all aboard Mike Vrabel, and I really truly believe that the New England Patriots got a great one. And I really do think that's a good move. And I think the Patriots could surprise some people this season. Rome Odunze, top 24. So that would make him an RB, a wide receiver too. It's tough with the Bears. And this is the most difficult thing for me, is that there is an opportunity for other guys to step up. Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet, DJ Moore obviously being the number one guy. I've got DJ Moore in the top 8, I believe it is. I'd have to go back and look at my top 50 rankings. So I'm really, really bullish on DJ Moore. But I do believe that Rome Odunze could end up being a wide receiver too in fantasy, which is top 24. I truly believe that. there is a pathway for that to happen. And with Ben Johnson, an offense that scored 70 touchdowns last year. I'm not expecting 70 touchdowns for the Bears this season, but there is a real good chance that they go out there and they do a lot of damage and go out there and have a great season. So for me, I'm with you. I'm all about having some of Roma Dunze shares. Who is the week 1 starter in Indianapolis? I know we're starting to veer off. I know this is so the TikTok audience is bleeding into the Bears podcast here. Indulge me, if you will. The week 1 starter for the Colts, is it going to be Daniel Jones? Is it going to end up being Anthony Richardson? I really like the idea of it being Anthony Richardson. And I think that this is a Anthony Richardson redemption arc for himself, because last year everybody was so bullish on Anthony Richardson, and it was really like both fantasy and reality. Did not end very well, but I think they can change that up this season. Sammy, can we pull up the Bears schedule one more time? I just want to say, for anybody joining us here right now who wants to come out and see Vikings, Lions, Cowboys, Raiders to start the season, week 6 at the Commanders, then followed by the Saints, the Ravens, and the Bengals. Giants in week 10 at Minnesota, the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Eagles on Black Friday in week 13. So the day after Thanksgiving. I would have loved, excuse me, for the Bears and the Lions to be a, Thanksgiving tradition. But that's okay. Oh, yeah, so that Caleb Williams revenge game comes in week 2. Week 14, so at the Eagles and at the Packers. Then the Browns, Packers, 49ers, and Lions. Like, there's really, based on last year's thing, there's a real chance, a real opportunity. There's some good teams the Bears are playing. That is going to be a tough sled. Based on last year's numbers, again, we don't know. We don't know who's going to be good, who's going to be bad. Listen, the schedule is the schedule. I think that it's almost similar to last year, to where they loaded it up with some very winnable games early on in the year. And then week 8, bam, here comes the tough games at the Bengals and Ravens. Are you kidding me? But they get those 2 games out of the way, weeks 8 and 9. Who knows what's going on? But listen, we're going to cut it short here right now. All right, listen, we went for a half hour. You're good. I know there's a lot of other shows going on. So the schedule predictions program will come out here in a couple of days, weeks, or whatever. I'm not ready to fully commit to that yet. We will be making some predictions and all that stuff. And, a question here, though. I do want to talk about this. How do you feel about the Bears moving out of Soldier Field? One of the things I love, and for anybody who has not been following the podcast, and this is you're just joining us here right now, and you're like, hey, yeah, what is the thought on this? This has been my thought on the Bears and what they're doing with their stadium situation. For me, I truly believe the Bears, to be successful in the long run, they need to own their own stadium to be able to reinvest back into the team. And the way you do that is building a stadium out in the suburbs. There's not a lot of teams that actually play in their downtown municipality. Detroit does it to great success. The Seahawks do it to great success. Cleveland, it's okay. But I think with a lot of teams, the Cowboys are in the burbs. The Rams and the Chargers are in the burbs. The 49ers are like 80 miles. Now, it's not that far, but it's an hour south of where they are. The Raiders are not downtown. They're off the strip. Kansas City's out of town. The Giants and the Jets out of town. New England's in the middle of nowhere. Who else? Green Bay, obviously, in the middle of nowhere. Who else? New Orleans, downtown. That works out perfectly for them. For the Bears to be successful, though, they need to be able to build their own stadium. And as much as it's a sacrilege to go out there and be like, they've got a dome stadium, that's fine. And they're like, and I see this all the time because like I saw a photo of the Vikings and Twins old stadium, like the Fran Tarkenton Stadium. out in Bloomfield, Minnesota. Like, why would you give up that home field advantage? Like, there really isn't a home field advantage of that because it's not like you're pulling it. It's not like these kids grew up. Like, how many of these kids came from Florida, or wherever, Southern California, Texas? A lot of people are not accustomed to the snow, and you have indoor practice facilities. And I remember this, and my dad, whenever we lost a playoff game, we lost a home playoff game to the 49ers one season. And my dad was like, you know what? If we're going to lose a home playoff game to that, and his words, not mine, that soft ass Joe Montana, then we don't really need to. The whole idea of a home field advantage in the cold has gone away. It just is gone. And Rodney's right. Denver's is down. Oh, Denver's is downtown. When I was at Golf Tech this summer, I drove by so Golf Tech is right near Denver's home facility, practice facility. That was a pretty cool neighborhood. But yeah, I think the Bears need to go out there and build a stadium. They'll be able to host Final Fours. I mean, they'll be in the Final Four rotation in no time. They'll get a Super Bowl. Think about a Chicago Super Bowl. And I know it will be cool, but the NFL has done, they've done Super Bowls in Minnesota, and it's been great. Actually, sometimes the cold weather places have actually been the best. New York was awesome. Minnesota was awesome. And New York was quite a risk because, it's an outdoor stadium. Indianapolis, great place, not only for the Combine, but also for a Super Bowl. So I don't mind the Bears looking for alternatives. It's just the way that it's just the way that the NFL is. And now everybody's got to go out there and maximize their spending windows and all that stuff. Yeah, so I don't mind them going out there and searching out and trying to get a new stadium there. But in any event, I do think that the schedule, let's bring it up. I'm sorry, Sammy. I'm going to make you bring it up one more time. But really, I'm not going to give away what I'm predicting. So there's 4, I'm going to say 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I can get us 11 wins. How am I going to get us 12 wins? I don't know. How am I going to get us 11? How am I going to get us 12 wins? I know. Answer me this, everybody who's on here. If I don't predict us to 12 wins, people will take that as an affront, right? Like, I got to give us the traditional 12. I'll have us sweeping the Vikings or some S. I can pick 5. It's easy to find 5 games the Bears will lose. Maybe even this way. Okay, yeah. So somebody on TikTok's asking about the primetime games. Week 1, Monday Night Football, primetime. I'm glad it's not Green Bay because I don't think my heart could take it if the Bears went and lost to Green Bay on primetime early in the season. As a matter of fact, the Packers won't be able to get an opportunity to avenge their home loss to the Bears this year, 2025, until week 14. So we'll still be able to hold that. So at least until week 14, we can be like Caleb Williams, undefeated in Green Bay. Monday night, week 1 against the Vikings. I don't know. I didn't check because I don't care. No, I don't know if we're doing 2 Monday night. Is there a week? Somebody remind me. Is there a week where there's multiple? I love the multiple Monday night games. Does anybody else? I love the multiple Monday night games. But the Bears have a week 1 Monday night game. Week 6 against the Commanders, Monday Night Football. Week 13, the Eagles. It's the Black Friday game. And week 16 is a Saturday game, and then week 17 is Sunday Night Football. So there is, 5, so to speak, primetime games. Putting a lot of faith in the Chicago Bears. So, and it's one of those things, like, this is the great benefit of the NFL. Is that Bears fans, we're going to talk them up, and everybody's trying to temper expectations, and maybe the schedule will go out there and lend people to being like, I'm not going to get too bullish. Like, there's somebody right here, right now, an Eagles fan. They are, they know that the Bears fans are going to end up talking themselves into 12 wins. By the way, somebody's asked, is this a soccer hat? No, this is a Windy City Sports Cards. Windy City Sports Cards. This is somebody on TikTok. No, this is not a Chicago Fire or anything. It does look kind of like a soccer crest. Oh, you can see it better on TikTok. The camera's better for what we're doing on TikTok than what we're doing here on the interwebs. But in any event, thank you to everybody here for tuning in tonight. I know it was a special time. We're usually here at 5 o'clock Central. And I should tell you, there is a potential that there will be a time change that perhaps we'll have to talk about at some point in the future. But for right now, thanks to everybody for tuning in. I know there's a lot of people talking about this amazing schedule release. Go out there, enjoy all the content. Thank you so much for being here. Greg Braggs will be back with us next week. We'll have a schedule prediction show coming out soon. I will let you know when that is going to be happening. I will tell you, I will be in Friday and Monday in the NFL Network doing my work, trying to figure out what the Bears win situation is going to look like. So that is something to look forward to at some point in the coming days. But thanks for everybody for being here. And until next time, Sammy, go ahead and play us out, bear down, and let's go.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.